Bat music.
He's not a bat, he's a man who fights crime. And we're gonna watch him fight for a minute at a time. With John and Niall and a guest who doesn't rhyme. It's Bat Minute!
Hello, and welcome once again to Bat Minute Returns, the podcast where we hurtle towards the dump truck full of kitty litter that is Tim Burton's 1992 movie Batman Returns, 1 minute at a time. I am one of the hosts, Niall McGowan.
And here to caress and fondle the body of Tim Burton's work 1 minute at a time, it is I, John Parker.
You just always have to take it to a sexual place, don't you?
It's a sexual minute!
And if you can hear that giggling in the background, it's because we're joined once again by our guest, rogue writer and resplendent raconteur, Kiri Callaghan.
Ooh. I like it. That's one of the better intros I think I've ever received. Thank you so much now.
Oh, no problem at all. You can take that if you want. You can put a TM at the end of it if you.
I shall.
Like.
TM. Trademarked.
But we're here today to talk about minute 62 of Batman Returns. Minute 62 starts with us discussing the woman behind the cat. And it ends a minute later with Batman, the Bat, having a chat. So, yeah, let's jump on in when everyone's ready. I do wonder, because of the whole thing of so the Batman so far, what we've seen on screen, he's dealt with the Joker, so it's like a clown guy. And then there's a guy who looks a bit like a penguin, but he's a genuinely mutated, freak guy, if that's the word you want to use.
Do you ever wonder if, his parents, there was something incestuous going on? I'm just curious.
Yes, we thought this just a few weeks ago, didn't we?
Okay, because, no one ever touches on that. I'm like, that's a lot of, birth defects happen, but I'm like,
yeah, and
something.
Let's be honest, they're clearly very upper class, wealthy people, right. And who's the most notorious for that? It's not the poor people. It's not the hicks as they're portrayed. No, it's the rich.
Spread the genes apart. First rule of genetics.
It would have been something though if they did that so often that they just kept having inbred mutated babies and kept throwing them in the river. And at the end of the movie, it was like the end of Golden Axe, where you think you've defeated Death Adder. But all of a sudden, there's Ultra Adder just appears from nowhere. So you find out there's another deformed.
You find out the
Cobblepot
Cobblepots just have a habit of doing this.
They also have a child who looks like a hobbit. That is true. That was one of the things they had.
Words are hard. But I feel like there's got to be something years of incest created the penguin or something like that. That I still maintain randomly going off on a tangent, talking Game of Thrones here. If the Targaryens really were that into incest, there's no way Daenerys would look that put together.
She should look like Danny DeVito.
It would have been maybe if George R.R. Martin came out with that. He's like, I don't know why they cast this woman. I clearly state. I told HBO I wanted Danny DeVito for that part.
Granny DeVito! There you go. There's Granny DeVito. No.
Mother of Dragons.
Mother of Dragons, Granny DeVito.
Oh, if I do make that meme, I should just take the Daenerys hair, because it's white already, and then plop that on his head.
Yes.
He does call the penguins his babies, so Granny DeVito.
Yeah.
Mother of penguins. Grandmother of penguins. But it's something that, it's something that drove me nuts is during the whole, getting on a tangent when people are like, oh, it's okay if they have sex because they don't look like each other and it's fiction. I'm like, it's not. Do you want Mordred? This is how you get Mordred. Sorry.
Yes.
But the thing is, though, because, you had Joker, genuine freak, because, obviously hideously disfigured, due to Batman, ironically enough. And then you have the Penguin, who's due to either inbreeding or they had a whole bunch of different things. Maybe it was something in the water, maybe it was the chemicals that the Penguin mentions a Max Rex later on. Maybe that did something to him or something. But then you do have Catwoman, and you wonder what Batman confronted with this. Is he kind of like, what's your deal? Are you ripping me off? Like, Catwoman, I'm Batman.
Yeah, right. He's like,
I know I couldn't trademark the idea, but like, you're pretty much just stealing my shtick, you know?
Well, let's be honest, she is.
Yeah.
yeah.
It's like you couldn't have gone, even though you called yourself like friggin' Squirrel Girl. You could have been Squirrel Girl, and it would have been
Cat Lady, let's be honest. Cat Lady just sounds like you are a spinster who doesn't leave her house and just talks to her cats, which, to be fair, she was.
I believe that later on, the Penguin refers to her as like, that cat broad. I was like, oh, I wouldn't have minded the cat broad would have been...
Cat broad, maybe?
Because then that would have been like, oh, it's going back into that, like, 1940s aesthetic that Tim Burton was going for. Like, yeah, cat broad. Yeah. They're going to get the skinny on
that's
cat
a good point. Like, I feel like this movie was very much not... It did not have that same weird noir 40s feel that I feel like the first one did.
This one seems to be much more focused on, like, German expressionism and just been much more angular and weird looking and stuff. It doesn't
have as much of that, like, man, see?
Yeah, that is one thing that's missing, actually. We haven't commented on that very much, have we?
No. And you still get people in fedoras, so I guess it's like, oh, technically it still ties in, but it does look like a slightly different Gotham City than the one we'd seen previously. Although, to be fair, we only ever see friggin' Gotham Plaza because they...
Yeah, fedoras do not a 40s movie make there, sir.
There's an entire... You just go down there into Gotham Plaza, you just see a sea of guys tipping their hat going, "Milady." This is every time.
Oh, God. No, those are trilbies. That's different. That's different.
I just do like the vision of that now. There's like this murmured en masse, and then like all the windows in the store is cracking because of the volume of it.
I want to see Batman fight the army of miladies. I would watch that movie in a heartbeat. That'd be great. This first scene though, like when this minute starts, you get a really good look at Catwoman's suit up close, like with the stitching. And it's interesting because I feel like I can tell that there's now, like between this and like what you see later in the same minute, is that her mask is definitely a thicker material than the rest of stuff.
Yeah. Yes.
And I do like that they actually bothered to like stitch rather than make like little white marks, which is what you kind of see on all the costumes that are trying to mimic this. They actually did stitch stuff on, but you can still tell that those stitches are actually not holding anything together.
Yeah, they're not
just
stitches
close
really.
Up, and that bothers me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, because like especially right on the edge of the rim where it's like a perfectly smooth hole on her eye hole. And you can tell, like, that's not actually holding this together.
No, it doesn't. Nothing about the outfit makes any sense. Not one thing. But I love it at the same time. I don't care.
No, that's fair.
I'm just kind of wondering what she did for the ears. Like, did she put, like, a little bit of cardboard in to get them to stick up that way? Or is it just the material's that tough that it could stick up like that? Or, like, I believe you are a cosplayer of sorts, Kiri, like, according to your Instagram.
Not super great.
But have you ever made anything this intricate? Like, would you be able to tell, like, oh, that's they obviously did this or something?
I wouldn't be able to tell exactly, but obviously, because of it's more of a rubbery thing, I can't imagine they would have been able to use any sort of interfacing which requires ironing, because that sort of material, I would imagine, would melt. So it might actually have a little bit of cardboard in there. I'm not entirely sure, because it's too stiff. It's too structured to be just because I'm pretty sure it is a vinyl base. So I feel like it would stick up somewhat on its own, but not that angular. Yeah. Like it would not do that so perfectly without some sort of assistance. So it might have cardboard. It might just have like a thicker rubber in that part. You could have technically taken the same material and folded it into that shape and then maybe melt it together to make it more stiff. So there's many things you could put in there. I'm assuming you probably wouldn't want rubber because if you're sweating that much, cardboard, I mean, you wouldn't want cardboard because if you're sweating that much, cardboard is going to get soggy and wet.
Oh, yeah.
I imagine you'd want more of like a compounded like thing of the same material.
See, I'm always just amazed though as well, and this is just in general, of like the the way that you usually see it with women, where they can literally scrunch their hair up into something so tight that we've seen Selina Kyle now without this thing on, and her hair is big and it's crazy. And it's like she's managed to get it all down into that there. It's really impressive to me.
You're not wrong. Like I have the luxury of having very straight hair that doesn't want to do anything ever without lots of products. So getting it under like a wig cap is pretty easy. I can't imagine how she got that amazing bounce of curl. I'm assuming she's wearing a wig, but I don't know for sure because Michelle Pfeiffer's hair is obviously not that. Like we've seen her in so many different things. I don't believe Michelle Pfeiffer's hair is actually that wild and bushy.
Yeah.
I'm assuming it's a wig, but I don't actually know.
I think the most impressive I ever seen with that though was in Shakespeare in Love, when when Gwyneth Paltrow goes like in disguise as a man, but then she like throughout the rest of the movie she has this massive she's got like Vicky Vale hair, like this huge mane of curls, and then when she has the man's wig on, it just looks like she just has short hair, and it's like that's amazing. She got all that hair under that. That's insane.
Probably not, no.
Yeah, but it's the point of distraction. I'm like, well, what did they do, though? Well, that's just insane that you could match.
Well, she's probably wearing a wig as Gwyneth Paltrow. Or as her lady form. And then they just decide, ignore it. Meh.
Well, I don't know if I've ever seen her with, like, proper little pixie cut or anything, though, so...
No, but, like...
Okay, this is the beginning now. Shakespeare in Love minutes. Let's go back.
No,
Let's get the film
All
up.
right.
Let's go through this.
No.
I'm bowing out.
I do really wish I could get superpowers of some sort, because I've noticed this trend in movies, whether you become a villain or otherwise, you suddenly get this amazing ability to sew. Like,
yes.
Suddenly Selina Kyle is not only able to create a costume for herself, but a costume out of a very difficult material to work with, let me tell you.
I want this ability. Come on, can
Right?
someone please help me?
Like, do I just have to have a man push me out of a window and I might die, but I'll be revived by kitty kisses or something? I don't
That's all
know.
it takes.
You know, there is, I don't imagine this was even something that went through Tim Burton's brain, because I don't think this research existed yet. But there is research surrounding the frequency on which cats purr is actually, there's some research behind it that frequency helps stimulate cellular repair.
Yes, I've read this actually. Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, maybe that's what happened. They're super kitties.
It's possible because it affects themselves, but who's to say it doesn't also go externally? So like if a cat's injured, it can purr, and it kind of, I think it helps the healing process. It like speeds it up.
Yeah. I mean, not like obviously in a like superhuman sort of way, but it helps ease pain, and it does help with like cellular growth, and much in a similar way that like cursing has now been proven to actually help with pain.
Okay.
So what you're positing here, though, is that essentially that cat scene is kind of like a remake of the ending of Mac and Me, where they all do that little vocal thing and they bring that kid back to life. That's officially that is what Tim Burton was going for.
I'm now positing that that's what happened to Catwoman, and in fact, the real superheroes are those cats. And I am a little worried for Batman when he brought home Miss Kitty, because we never find out what happens. Maybe that's really why in the next movie it's played by Val Kilmer. It really is the new Batman, because something bad happened because of that cat.
That's the thing, again, because it wasn't until we did this one a minute at a time that I was like, oh yeah, that cat that goes to her is supposed to be Miss Kitty. And it's only because we've not got, obviously we're nowhere near that minute yet. Just you saying that, like, oh, he gets Miss Kitty. It's like, I never pieced together that was the same cat as well. It's like, yeah, it's the same black cat throughout the movie.
Yeah. So there's something sinister with that cat. I don't know.
We've barely touched on this minute, actually. I wanted to
There's
talk
not
about...
much to touch on this minute.
Well, initially she reveals the end of her line from Monday, where Selina says that, she thinks that perhaps Batman can reveal the woman behind the cat.
Yeah.
That's what she said, which I found interesting because I said it last episode and I've said it multiple times. I always saw it as the old Selina's died. This is the new Selina, risen up from within, blah, blah, blah. Catwoman has replaced her. But here it seems like, is she saying that she is still a person behind it all? Like underneath, can she be saved? Who even is Selina anymore?
I just assumed this was her trying the whole, like, wiles thing. Like, she's got a very, Catwoman in this has a very, like, Poison Ivy sort of vibe.
Yeah.
Where her sexuality is this weapon that almost seems supernatural because people keep falling for it.
Men.
Within the space, again, within a minute and, like, 6 seconds, it seems to have gone from Batman was, like, viewed her as like, oh, equal opportunities crime fighter, punch her in the face, to like, oh, she's a woman, I must help her, and then to like, oh, she's throwing me off a roof, I'll throw a chemical explosive or whatever,
an incendiary chemical at her.
Then like, I must save her, and now it's like, I think she's coming on to me. It's like this guy,
yeah.
His facial expression not belying much. There's a lot going on in this guy's head of like, oh,
he just doesn't know what to do with himself. And then you also get to see a really good look at her claws and how I'm trying to figure out what these things are. Like, I've got it paused. One looks like a scalpel. Like, one, it almost looks like dental.
Yeah.
Like instruments. I'm not sure because they're all slightly different.
That's what's odd, because she made it from her box of like sewing equipment and things, hence the thimbles that they're attached to. But they're not all sewing-related things when you look at them up close.
Yeah, there's one of them that looks like it's almost like a little minor pair of scissors or something. There's like two things. There's ones that look like they're wire just wrapped around. And the thing is, because you can actually get like, behind-the-scenes stuff, there's like production shots of all the claws. And they look so cool. It's like, I'm surprised they didn't try to pronounce them more in the movie, because this is black on black. You can kind of just see them, and you only see them for like a split second. And throughout the rest of the movie, like, you're just like, oh, she's got some kind of claws. But it's like, you don't really get to see how cool those claws are, because that really adds to her whole Frankenstein-y kind of thing. Like,
and because it's just such a dark movie, you can't really see anything.
Yeah, it is a shame, because there's a lot of detail lost in creating the atmosphere, which is great for the movie, but the costumes, you can't take them in fully. You can't appreciate them on the scale that you should, maybe. Yeah.
Well, that's actually a thing here, because what she's doing now is she starts sort of feeling up his chest and stuff. And again, Batman.
Oh, yeah. Like, it's hot, that, I'll be honest.
But yeah, it's really dumbed down, because what else does she have to do to convince you, like, you shouldn't be letting this woman do this, guy? Like, he's...
Right?
But now we do get seeing, like, some of the detailing of the new Batsuit, beyond the logo changing, obviously, from the last movie, because we talked about that quite extensively. But this is actually like officially a more updated, more angular, armor-plated suit with industrialized seam lines been shown rather than the hidden joints at the back of the previous sculpted look. Most notably down to the center of the thighs. I'm reading this from the official Batman movie.
I never would have guessed it.
But the new version has shown to possess weak points in the armor, particularly in the pectoral seam or his lower sides, as demonstrated by when Catwoman stabs him here now. The thing is, like, I remember this brought me back to last season, when every other week, when we ever read anything from the original Sam Hamm draft, we kept saying, like, oh, that ends up in The Dark Knight. It's almost as if Chris Nolan has just looked at that script and then gone, oh, I'm just going to swipe that. And then, but the whole business then of, like, Batman getting a new suit that has weak points in his armor is a big thing in The Dark Knight as well, where, like, that's how the Joker stabs him at the end, because he knows where to get the knife in through the little hole in the stuff. The thing is, though, I'd never really got that this was supposed to be, like, it's in a particular... Well, you should, though, because she's literally going, like, well, no, that's not you. Oh, there you are.
That's not you, and I always thought this was so strange, because until you read that, I didn't realize she'd found... Because the way they film it, I had no idea, like, what she had supposedly found.
Yeah.
It just seems dirty, and I didn't know how, even. Like, as an adult, I'm going... It seems like something about this has gone a little naughty, and I can't figure out how because her hand is on his side. Like,
well, I thought the point was, like, it cuts away so you see their faces and stuff, and she says that. So I thought her hand had slipped further down into the front.
Right? But apparently not, because then she stabs him in the side, and you're like, wait.
But she lifts her hand off. See, basically, I still think this. She's grabbing his dick, right? I don't know how he would feel it through the suit, but okay, she's grabbing his crotch. And then
it's
she...
the lesser-known Batman power. He can feel things through rubber.
It's actually his skin. It's got nerve endings. So
Oh
she grabs
my.
it, to entice him. And then, she could just pull her hand off and then wham, she stabs him in the stomach, because he's not suspecting it now, is he?
It's hard to understand what he's thinking in this part. Because it's like, he looks at her all suddenly.
Yeah,
and like his eyes slightly like narrow, and it almost looks like he's about to go consent because she's being all sexy, and his only response is like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And then he does not actually look very happy about whatever she's doing.
That's another reason I think she's grabbing his crotch, because he actually finally physically reacts to something she's doing. So it's like he looks a little bit uncomfortable. Like, oh,
yeah. He's like, what are you doing? I've made a huge mistake. That's what he's thinking, right? Right before she does it. He knows that she's going to with him again, because...
It is really, though, this reveal of, Batman been led by his nether regions, basically, because everything about this, though, is like this woman blew up a friggin' shop, and she's had a big fight. She cracked a whip at you and stuff. But the fact he's just like, oh, this is kind of hot. Like, he seems to be kind of standing like, yep, I'm just going to let this happen. I was like, what are you doing, dude? Why aren't you trying to stop her in any goddamn way? And then, of course, though, when she does stab him, his immediate reaction is like, oh, I'm just going to punch her in the face again because that's my go-to move.
It's weird. It's so weird. She's got her hand like on like and then she pulls it back to stab him, and I'm like, what was the point of sneaking it around? If you're gonna pull back enough that he can clearly see what you're doing, and yet he doesn't. And I just okay.
It's because she grabbed his crotch, so he's like,
okay,
that's the easy way to trick a man. Just touch him, and then oh.
But do wonder though, like they could have had, if you wanted to go down that rather lurid road that John has let us down. Because she's got two hands.
John, how did we get here?
No, I didn't realize anyone ever thought anything else.
No, I also thought that was actually what was happening, but I was very confused, like... Yeah, it was just a lot of questions I had, but the way they treat it, if you're going to pan away, you got to assume, like, something dirty is happening.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The thing is, she has two hands as well, though, so she could have been, like, doing the thing with this hand of, like, feeling the chest, feeling for where the hole in the armor is.
If you're focusing on this hand, Batman, you won't see what this one is doing.
At this point, though, he's just like, hey, whatever happens, I'm just going to let it happen. Like, me and Vicky broke up, like, 3 years ago. It's been me since, so I'll take it when I can get it. Like, it doesn't matter to me.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah,
3 years ago.
I don't imagine he's been with anyone since then.
No.
And I think that's kind of catching him off guard, that he is interested. Because that's not Batman. Batman's not interested. Well, he doesn't do that kind of thing.
Yeah, that is actually like a good through line, though, because, when we saw at the end of the last movie, him and Vicky had hooked up. And then the beginning of this one is him sitting alone in the cavernous, Wayne mansion by himself. Like, even Alfred's out. And he's just literally sitting waiting just to become Batman, because that's all he's got going for him. Yeah. So, yeah, this is a kind of, if you do take it that to be a direct continuation of he was in love with this woman, it didn't work out, and now he's completely just dedicated his entire time to being Batman. And the fact that someone now is like, oh, she's... This is intriguing. This kind of crazy woman who's dressed up similar to me, and she's talking about like the man behind the bat and the woman behind the cat. It's like maybe she gets me and stuff. And now she's got her hand down here and stuff. And yeah, it does. It makes sense in that regard. Anyway.
Yeah, he's like, oh, maybe this one won't run away because she also has.
But I will also add too, like as he does a full on smack that just like sends her cascading off the building. We've noted several times that the comic adaptation for kids, they always had to change a few things because they're like, well, this is a bit like when I think the one thing we talked about before is when Penguin hands Max Shrek the hand, in the comic version, it just looks like this nice pink healthy hand, and you don't see the severed end of it. It's just like it just goes off panel. But this thing they do add in as she's falling, he kind of goes like no, as if like, because the indication here would be like he was kind of into her for a second, and then like you think Batman would know better to like, well, if you're gonna punch her, she's gonna fall off the building and she's probably gonna die. So I think they might have had that in for the kids to be like, look, he's not trying to kill her. Whereas in this one, it's kind of like he was like, oh, the hell with you, and just like you almost got me, Kevin.
Yeah, he's not even paying attention. He just looks down at like he hits her, and then, which is also very strange because I don't think he really sees that she gets knocked off. Like if you watch his head, he knocks her off, and then I think he just assumes that she's gonna die, which is again going back to that weird Batman thing of who is he in this, where he just is like gleefully killing, because he knocks her off and then immediately looks down and like starts to go to work on like himself. Like, dude, she had a whip before; she could be back up and like attacking you at any minute. He doesn't even bother to check that she's like dead. That's how little he cares. He's just like boom. And then like you're swatting away a fly.
You know, the truck she lands in as well.
Yeah.
And she does the joke, you know, oh, saved by kitty litter. Right. What is this truck supposed to be? It's not meant to be kitty litter, obviously. That's a joke. Is a truck of sand?
Yeah, that's literally in the comics. It has Batman looking at her and he goes, oh, he sees that and he's like, sand. So it's like they clarify what it is. But when I was a kid, I had no idea. I was like, is this kitty litter?
But why is there an open top truck of sand driving around?
Construction, maybe.
To be fair, though, they did manage to blow up that department store and rebuild it, so maybe that's where the truck's coming back from that. Like,
yeah, that's sand from the explosion. That's the vaporized building from prior.
It's all that remains.
It's actually a very interesting metaphor going on here. She's landed in her own ruin of what she did.
Oh, that would be great. Yes, and it's kitty litter, you know. So it's how do I put it without swearing? I was going to say she's landed in her own shit. I'm going to have to swear.
Yeah, exactly. So there you go.
I will also note as well, because we were joking last minute about like, oh, someone was in that open window just looking out at Batman and Catwoman. As she falls, you actually do see on the left-hand side, there's two people out on the balcony just like, what? Oh, some woman fell off the roof. Oh,
just carry on with their day.
Well.
Yeah. Must be like, I imagine later on when everyone's like, oh, Batman pushed the princess off the building. These people were like, oh, he's...
That guy's like, yeah,
it's
apparently a thing he does.
You remember how he killed that Joker guy? Like, he just threw him off a cathedral. That's what Batman does. He just throws people off things.
This Batwoman, this cat lady, he just boom.
He really should be just calling himself Gravity Man, because that's how he deals with everything.
Yes.
Gravity Falls.
But yeah, that's the thing, though, right? Because I alluded to this also in the last minute. Because she falls then into this thing, and you think sand would still be pretty hard. So if you hit that from that height, you'd be pretty screwed. And she's kind of
wouldn't it kind of compact after a while of it all being dumped on top of it?
It would. It's also we've all think about when you go in like water incorrectly.
Yeah.
The way she falls, like she clearly falls into. It's very odd because if you watch her fall, that is not how sand works.
No.
Like if it was filled up to the brim, it's almost like she falls in like. I mean, obviously there's got to be. It's sand over a. What are they called? Those
like
little,
a net.
Yeah. It's sand over that like net stuff or whatever, so she can be, the stunt lady can be caught.
Yeah.
But it's not how sand at all reacts. Like even if you fall into because she falls in like body first. Like she doesn't even dive down like how she was, where it would be like a dive. And we've all like accidentally belly flopped into water because we didn't quite land right. So I'm like, oh. Catwoman, this would hurt.
Yeah,
that would really hurt. I would actually like it more. It's going to sound fantastical and stupid. You're going to probably laugh, but I would like it more if they played up the cat thing. So on the way down, using her acrobatics and her cat-like reflexes, she flips herself through the air multiple times and then lands in like a crouched pose on the sand. Cats
you know
always
what?
land
I
on their
think
feet.
that would also be a little less ridiculous, strangely, even
Weirdly,
though it's more ridiculous. Because No, you're right, because you bring it to this more fantastical idea, and if you have her land on her feet, our brains kind of go like, okay, so this is part of her cat powers or whatever, and that's how she was saved, as opposed to, no, that's not how sand works.
Well, the thing is, though, because, this would hurt. This would probably do a lot of damage. And alluding to the end of the movie, because we were talking last minute about, like, oh, did Catwoman actually die when she fell off that building? You might recall in what I would call the best scene of the movie, when she's confronting Max Schreck at the end. And she, at one point, says, like, you killed me, Penguin killed me, Batman killed me, that's 3 lives down. And everyone we've had on have been like, well, the 9 lives thing at the end, that's how you know it's magical, because she has 9 lives. So they're counting this, in that logic, they're counting this as she has died again and come back. That's what they're saying in the movie. Which, to me, is like, would she not need the cats? Would it not be like the end of Twin Peaks The Returns? Like, every time Bob Cooper, when he gets taken out, they need the woodsman to come out to revive him and stuff. You see him in the last... Spoilers for the end of the third season of Twin Peaks, by the way. But there's a bit... where, like, they appear again. Because it's like, as soon as he gets injured and he dies, they have to come out and revive him. And it's like, so where the cats not all need to come out and converge and do the Mac and Me thing?
No, because now she's one of them, so she doesn't need them anymore.
Yeah, although I would love that. That would be a great
that'd
visual.
Be great. They keep appearing like, kitty power! Purr, purr, purr.
Oh my god, that would be even better.
That would be great. It, like, that kept happening, and then at the end when, like, Batman's going through all the wreckage after she's electrocuted Max Schreck and stuff, and he finds his charred corpse. And, Catwoman's gone. He turns around, he just sees, like, 2 cats turning a corner. He's like, oh, damn it, they've done it again!
See, that'd be so good. And it could even play that music that plays when Cooper Bob is revived in Twin Peaks.
I feel like the only time you really see her, like, dead, though, is when she gets pushed out the window. So I don't know. It also could just be that's how she's choosing to see it, of like, so-and-so tried to kill me and that did actually kill me. And now I'm back. Or I don't know. It could be also her saying of like, because I also feel like when Penguin does it and she lands in those roses, it's like, she's still alive.
Yeah.
She could have died, I suppose.
But she literally says here, saved by kitty litter. So it's like she's acknowledging that my life has been saved by kitty litter.
True.
I think we're expecting her to be consistent, and nothing about this version of Catwoman is really terribly consistent.
I do like the idea,
though.
Like, in talking about the fact that, like, Batman might as well be Gravity Man, because, like, that's how he took out the Joker. He threw him off a thing. But then we've seen Catwoman fall off things twice, and it's like, oh, it didn't kill her both times. It's kind of like they could have played that up in the marketing.
Well, she's a cat.
They could have played it up in the marketing, but like, behold the woman that gravity cannot fell. It's like, no matter if he puts his best work into this, it's like, oh, damn it, she survived another fall. What am I to do?
She just keeps landing on her feet.
You know what? That should be it. Now that you've mentioned that, I'm more and more irritated that she keeps not falling on her feet. Because the first time, yes, she dies, she's brought back by the cats or whatever, I don't know. But after that, she should keep falling on her feet, like in that crouched position. Like, cat always lands on their feet. Yeah. Why didn't they just fully lean into that? That bothers me now.
Yeah, because Batman does seem to, as you've said, Niall, repeatedly push people off things. So
he does.
What's going to happen now? He can't do that. He needs a new plan.
Exactly. She keeps landing on her feet. Oh, and then
it would have been even more. But I thought because we did see a thing of like she trampolined, remember, like in the store, and it was a big shot of her landing on the heels. I remember us being like, oh, that's quite impressive, just landing on those heels without them breaking or your ankle going or something. And maybe they're like, oh no, with those boots, there's no way she could fall off buildings and land on her feet. It's like, you could just give her like flats, dude. She doesn't have to have the friggin'...
Yeah, just give her actual boots rather than these weirdly heeled things. But yeah, no, it bothers me. I now really want her to land on her feet all the time.
It's ruined the movie. I'm going to have to stop. I can't go on.
Exactly. We'll just, podcast over. Done. Yeah. We're got to move on to a different movie now.
Good while it lasted.
I will say, though, this next bit, though, was always the bit that scandalized when I had this. Because I had this when... This came out when I was like 5, and I had the VHS and stuff, because parents were like, oh, this Batman's for kids. And I remember watching it with my parents, and then the fact that she says, oh, bastard, was like, oh, there was murmurs throughout the room of like, oh, this is inappropriate. inappropriate language in this children's movie that's already got this zombie fetish woman in it. I may be thinking that this 15 certificate on the front cover was maybe warning us of something.
It does bother me how annoyed she is that he didn't let her kill him. Like, I have a hard time, like, she feels the weird injustice thing she feels against it bothers me. I'm like, but you were trying to kill him. Selina, what is your deal? Like, you really hold it against you that Batman tried to kill you, but Batman is the one person that you tried to kill first.
How dare he do it back?
I understand being pissed at Shrek. Which I just keep imagining every time I say his name. I just think of, like, the green ogre every time I say it. I get being mad at Shrek. I get being mad at the penguin, who basically pulls, like, in my opinion, the most realistic thing of the whole thing of, like, really psychotic dude expresses interest in woman says, nah, bro. And he's like, oh, I'm going to kill you.
That, unfortunately, is the closest to real life at the moment.
I know. It's like, oh, this is a little too close to home.
I think actually, though, when I always took her, when she says bastard, I don't even know, do we have to bleep saying it now in the podcast and stuff too? But
I think we should, just in case, maybe.
No. But the thing I took it as, it wasn't so much that, like, how dare he, retaliate when I tried to kill him and stuff. I think it's because she's noticing, that thing he threw at me has completely ripped my cat suit. And she's like, oh, bastard.
No,
and
that's fair. It's more of just the fact of she then, like, every time she talks about people killing her or, like, trying to, she refers to it in the same way as if it's the same level of injustice.
Oh, yeah.
And it bothers me a bit. I'm like, no. These are two very different things. You had two people who were supposed to be your allies turn on you. And then you had a guy that you tried to kill who decided to defend himself better than you were attacking him. Like, I don't know. Anyway. Her arm does not look that burned, though. I know it's covered in sand, but, like, it just looks like all it did was rip her suit, which we can now see is a very, very thin material.
Yeah. I do think, too, her skin there must be just like, oh, thank God. Like, it's finally got out to breathe. I've been trapped in that
Right.
suit for so long. Oh, there it is, the cold winter winds.
You can see, actually, it's very strange in this bit. Like, when she's coming back up, there's multiple rips on her suit that were not there literally, like, 5 seconds ago when she was up on the hill. Up on the roof. Like, the one on her arm I get because she got hit by napalm or whatever. Like, that's fine, and I think we did see that before. But there's, like, a rip up by her mask. There's a rip on the side of her shoulder on the other side, and I'm just... There's multiple rips on this suit, and I'm not entirely sure how that came about.
That's a good point,
It's
actually.
just like they're making her more distressed.
I suppose if that stuff burnt her, maybe some of it splashed up there.
Yeah, I just always just kind of took it like that's something
Maybe
in the tumble.
it looks more like ripping at the seams, though, than, like, burn.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm actually annoyed that now that I realize he did actually throw something caustic at her, because I didn't really give it much thought in the first watch through I did, that it definitely does not look burned. It looks cut.
Yeah.
Like,
Again, too, because you do see as well later on in the movie the bubbling scar that was supposed to have been left. So the fact that still just looks like, I guess it is.
it's not there.
Yeah. You could say again, maybe it's covered in sand or whatever, but I don't know. It seems like
Like, Selina Kyle should have, like, rubber stuff burned onto her skin.
Yeah.
Like, I know I'm, like, basically advocating for this will make it an R-rated movie. I'm just like, if you're throwing freaking napalmy things.
That would be cool if it burnt the suit into her flesh.
Like, so she can't, like, fully take it off?
yeah.
Oh my God, that would look good.
Dun, dun, dun. It's a metaphor.
Yeah. Oh, yes. We've improved the movie in this episode.
We have.
Oh. But the thing is, then, because we have her and her costume woes, and then we cut to the Batcave, and an unusual shot of Batman sitting squat. Actually, if you pause it at the right moment too, because one of the big things apparently in the new suit was Michael Keaton insisted that they put a zipper in, and you can totally see that zipper. It's just in the center.
Oh my gosh, you can.
Just in the center of his crotch for like a split second.
This is, oh my.
That batsuit, it's cool. Does not look dignified when you're sitting like that, though.
I love
it's. I was just gonna say it was an odd. It's also an odd cut to me. Like I like the sort of like, oh, we're seeing her examine her wounds and we're seeing him examine his, but it's more of like a strange thing of she just fell. We're gonna cut back to the Batcave, which again is a weird thing for me for Batman to not even try, like to not even show a shot of Batman trying to see where she fell. Just assuming like, I've taken care. It's just strange. Like unfinished business. Like if you were going to be the cold-hearted killer, you should probably like make sure that she is indeed dead. Or, you know, if you're going to be Batman, as we know Batman, ensure, did I kill her? Is there a body on the ground? Like, it's a weird, like, there's nothing there. He just, like, swats her away like a fly, and then the next time we see him, he's like, all right, let's patch this up. It's just an odd cut to me.
Well, he secretly wants her to survive, I think.
Then wouldn't you want to, like, have him see, like, is she okay?
He's scared of the fact that she might be splattered on the pavement.
It could have been a good minute, though, just for, he doesn't even have to say anything. It could have just been him literally facially reacting to, like, oh, and then seeing her say she's okay and having a slight look of relief on his face and been like...
instead of just looking down at himself immediately, like the hip, like see her fall, go, oh shoot, what, like show her land on the thing, see her shake herself off and then you can do the like...
I do really like this shot because you said it's an unusual sort of way to see him. And it is, in these movies especially, because he really looks beat. Like emotionally and physically, Catwoman has screwed him up. It's really taken a toll on him for the first time, really, to that extent.
Yeah, I think we did see, like, towards like the end of the last movie, he looked like he was pretty wrecked. But we didn't see an aftermath of him, but like, oh man, that took it out of me. Like, there was no kind of... He just kept going. That was the thing. Like, he didn't really get the facade dropping, whereas you do here, where he's literally, like, kind of... haul the thing out and do a little and stuff. So,
and I think that extra level is the emotional side. Because he's very drawn to her. It's added a new dimension to him, and that's kind of drained him. He's like, he doesn't know what to do. Really.
We'll also note too that in the comic adaptation, they have. I think they must have been like what they would have had to have done. They would have had like production stills and stuff, so you know what everybody looks like, and then they were working from the script. So they actually have Bruce Wayne completely topless in this scene, and they have their version of Michael Keaton is f***ing ripped. Like he's like friggin' Tom Hardy in The Dark Knight Rises or something.
That makes me think of those posters. I don't think it's the original poster, but it's one of the early posters for Star Wars where it's got buff.
Oh yeah.
Giant ripped Luke.
They had that Kenner toy re-release in ~97 where they had Buff Luke. I was like, that's not what he looks like. What was Mark Hamill? Did he slip somebody a 50 or something in the toy factory?
He looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger or something.
But and it does say in the script they have a thing about him. He disrobes, but I don't know if it's like Michael Keaton because we got his bare back in the last movie. And then I don't know if he's like, I'm not training to be I'm not going to go out and do what friggin', see Hugh Jackman in friggin' 30 years' time is going to be like working himself to the bone to play Wolverine every time. It's like, no, I'll be getting the suit. And you want to see me topless with like the Keaton gut and like it's just an unimpressive body? No, I'm not doing that. So he's gone here. He's like, no, he's literally just in like he's in the bat suit. And the closest you get him to disrobing is he's got one glove off. Also, should say as well that there's actually, in the original script, there's a very interesting deleted scene here where before we cut to the Batcave, it actually goes to Selina Kyle's apartment. And within that apartment, she comes in and says, it's still completely wrecked from when she wrecked it earlier and stuff. And then she, at this point, the lame boyfriend from earlier in the movie calls her back. And she's trying to get the faucet to work in her sink, and it won't. And then he calls and says, "Selina, I'm going to give you another chance to be the woman I just know you can be." And then she violently cackles, and then it says here, shish kebabs down her talons in the machine, and flings it into the kitchenette, which knocks on the faucet successfully. And it also mentions at the end what I thought was pretty apt. where it says, Selina pleasantly drifts to the faucet and rolls up her sleeve, revealing the Batman-induced burn mark. She holds it under the water and purrs in pleasure and pain. I was like, oh, here we go. Now we're getting sexy with it. Like, this is getting into Hellraiser material.
I'm kind of sad they cut that.
Yeah. That would have been a real added element of like having her sort of, sort of almost smiling in pleasure as she's doing it or something. And again, though,
I also really would have liked to see the lame boyfriends like in person, like just briefly, not for this scene, but like where he sees her as her new self. They have a brief interaction, and maybe that's what makes him decide to change his mind. I don't know. Yeah. And her just being like, lol.
That'd be
not
great.
today, bitch.
We also could just get seeing little bits and bobs around the Batcave here. We'll talk about that crazy drawbridge costume thing later. There's a thing in the background, too, that looks like... It's just this big jutting up bit of metal or something on the table. It almost looks like... when you used to have to cut paper in art class with like a big thing that was like... You literally put your paper across and then... like put it down.
Yeah.
Oh, I use that all the time at work. Yeah.
It looks like this is the Bat version of that.
It'd have to have the word bat in the name somewhere.
Batblade.
Oh, the Batblade. I'm surprised there isn't more Batman with a sword, except for Batman Ninja, which you can get the special bonus episode of earlier. I was going to say in the season, but it was the end of last season.
That was like you warp in time that you can get that very episode earlier. Like, oh, you can go back in time and listen to it as it aired.
Well, that is the plot of Batman Ninja.
Oh, that's true.
But there you
go. Just as a little plug, Batman Ninja is genuinely fucking insane, Kiri.
Oh, no, I've seen some of it. Yeah, because I work for a movie distribution app, and I work with WB, so I had to personally go through it.
Oh, should we bleep that out, though? Because if you're coming in and been sassy about a double WB product.
Oh, no,
like,
it's fine. It's fine.
We heard what you said about Batman Returns.
No, you're fine. I work for a movie distribution app, so that's my day job. So I got to see a little bit of it and was going, wow, Joker is insane. What is happening?
It's wonderful. It was so fun to talk about that, to be honest. It was great.
Oh, no, it is genuinely, like, it's just crazy, but it's really, really enjoyable. So I do advise you just watch the whole thing.
I shall.
I thoroughly enjoy here Batman requesting from Alfred some antiseptic on the phone. He's trying to make sense of who Catwoman is, looking at the claw, and then he calls Alfred and asks for antiseptic, which, to be honest, I think he's going to need a little bit more than just that.
A little bit, yeah.
Why doesn't he have this sort of stuff in the Batcave
if
this is where
odd,
he returns to?
Like, I mean... Is he really going to need the antiseptic as much as Bruce Wayne? Not that he can only have one bottle of it, but...
Yeah, exactly. He could have multiple things. He needs a medical kit in the Batcave. Come on.
I'm surprised, though, that it's not that Alfred's already there when he shows up. Because you think if he's coming back just day to day, he'd be like driving back in the Batmobile or however he's got back. And he'd just message ahead to be like, Alfred, I'm coming in. Because you never know. He could arrive back completely half dead.
Exactly, or
immediate attention or something.
Like, I'm sure Alfred, with all his like doobly doos, has some sort of notification of any time someone goes in the Batcave that notifies him. Oh, he's back, so I should go make sure he's not dead.
Yeah, exactly. Like, even just from the perspective of a friend, like you want to check on him.
But maybe that is actually what happened. Like, after this, Batman is just like, Alfred, we need to get this sorted. And that's why in Batman Forever, you get that giant intruder intolerant, like that alarm that goes off. Everyone, Chris O'Donnell friggin' kicks his way into the Batcave. But we have plenty of time to talk about that next year. No, I was just going to say, as a kid, I was always slightly annoyed that he doesn't hold the phone up to his bat ear. He holds it up to his actual ear. He should have been like, yep, it's up. I'm so into the Batman thing that I'm literally holding it up to the top of the cowl. Like, Alfred.
And it's
like, sir, you need to lower the receiver. Oh, sorry. I'm just really into this Batman thing,
But I was going to say is, like, you can see that she actually went through the suit. So, I don't know. It's got to be a crotch joke in the last thing, guys. Like,
yes, It is 100%.
It can't be anything else because she didn't find like a chink in the armor, as so to speak. There's like she just went through it. You can see right there.
Well, that's the thing.
Yeah, she just stabbed him.
So
straight through
there
the
you are. No, like you, yeah.
Well, that's the thing, though. 'Cause I would agree with that, even though I, in the previous, even earlier this episode, was saying, like, yeah, according to the wiki, she's found a weak spot. But you can see here, like, yeah, that is in the rubber. And then you do see a little, you see fabric up above under his, his armpit. So if she was going to stab him anywhere, it should have been in there.
Yeah.
But no, they went for there instead. So I think it's maybe the wiki's just giving a bit of like, no, it was a
The wiki's like,
weak
no,
spot.
it wasn't dirty. It wasn't dirty. Weak spot. No, it was dirty.
Never trust a wiki.
It's my motto, really.
But yeah, then we got obviously Batman asking for antiseptic, and then Alfred's very abrupt coming, which it's like it was more just you can read sex into every goddamn minute of this thing if you want.
Oh, come on. Niall, no.
Oh, so you're allowed to lower the tone, John, but when I do it,
When I do it, it's classy. That's the thing.
Or supported by the plot.
Yes. No, I admit when I was writing a note, I did think to myself, should I make another sexual joke or should I move on?
Should I do it?
but yeah, I think I'm all noted out for this minute, guys.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else you want to bring up?
He's
or?
looking at this terrifying claw that he pulled out.
It's interesting. Again, I still can't really figure out what it is, but it
No.
looks painful.
Yeah, and the more like when you said like the thimble thing, I realized, oh gosh, so much of this is not actually from a sewing sewing kit or whatever. Like, I don't
it's like
know.
thimbles with like any old spiky thing she could find stuck on them.
Yeah, and I'm not sure how she did it, like, because it doesn't look like it's hot glued together or what. I'm like, how, Selina, what
Baffling.
What fantastic engineering and terrifying kitty powers were you given?
Well, we will muse on that, mull that over. I don't even know what I'm trying to say anymore. I'm losing my mind. It's getting late on this very lovely winter's Wednesday. Is it still winter, Niall? I don't know. When's this coming out?
I think 10 weeks from now, so that'll be like
It's still winter.
yeah,
It's
like
still winter.
February,
It's
I
fine.
guess. or thereabouts.
Don't let anyone know that we record ahead of time. It'll ruin the illusion.
Ooh.
So, before we do depart, Kiri, would you like to tell our listeners one more time where they can find you online?
You can find me on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and YouTube and Twitch. Pretty much if you just type in Kiri Callaghan into the Google engine, it will tell you where to find me. I think I'm Kiri Callaghan on all of them except for Twitch, which I might be Curiosity. Yes. But yes, and I also have a book that is out right now, Alice, Alys, The Terramirium Chronicles. The sequel is being currently fashioned together. You can get updates and actually sneak peeks if you join my Patreon. And yeah, it's pretty exciting.
We will depart. If you want to message us in the meantime, feel free to join our Bat-Minute Listeners Cave on Facebook for all your secret bat chat. You can even talk about anything. I don't care. Doesn't even have to be Batman. Just put movie stuff in there. Whatever. I'll talk to you about anything. I'm a weirdo. I'd rather not work and just talk to you instead. So please do leave messages or send a tweet at Bat-Minute. And we will see you again on Friday for Minute 63. Next time, a prattling politico. The bat has a thorn in his side, but could behind the hatred there lie a murderous desire for love? Meanwhile, Oswald is holding a court of fowls. Could it be time for Mayor Jenkins to throw in the towel? Find out Friday. Same Bat Pod, different Bat Minute.